Now, out of an unnecessary abundance of caution here, I am going to wrap these with Teflon tape. Now, you absolutely positively shouldn't ever have to do this, but because of the way these oxygen fittings seal, the way these bottle fittings seal, they're not really, this is totally unnecessary. As a matter of fact, it may cause me a problem, but we'll see in a minute. These seal against this. These seal against this. Well, I sure repeat myself a lot. These seal against this thing. So this. That's hilarious. So this seals against here. Oxygen fittings are righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, just like everything else. Fuel is left-handed, so you can't, theoretically, you can't screw it up. Alright. I want this straight because I am anal. Alright, that's as tight as I can get it. And it's not straight. Now it's straight. Okay. I don't want to say I don't ever intend to take this apart, but I don't intend to take this apart for at least 10 years. If I live that long. This bottle has and there's a reason I saved this bottle of all the ones that I get. This has the latest hydrostat on this bottle is 11 of 22, and this bottle was manufactured, or it was either manufactured in 1986 or 1980. I actually think it was probably manufactured in 1980. It was hydrostated in 86, 98, 2009, and 2022. So that's a fresh hydrostat on this bottle. And that makes me happy. I mentioned in my other video, if somebody's giving you an oxygen bottle for free, check the hydrostat on it. If you ever want to see some horror shows, I've seen a couple of these bottles on closed caption, like CCD TV in third world countries, where they don't hydrostat bottles. As a matter of fact, they will. I've seen these bottles explode falling off of trucks, and like the actual bottle detonating like a bomb, killing the guy that unloaded it off the truck. So, if you're into snuff films, you can watch that. You can also watch guys rebuild engine blocks in the dirt. It's usually the same countries. Okay. So compressed oxygen, high pressure compressed oxygen, something you don't want to take lightly. And it's not the oxygen, it's the amount of pressure in the bottle. It's not the height that kills you, or it's not the fall that kills you, it's the sudden stop at the end. Same thing. And yes, I know I wrapped that backwards. We're going to put another wrap on because put the tape on backwards. You shouldn't need to do this. You don't need to do this. Like I said, I've had so many leaks in this system with these goofy fittings that my personal opinion is I might as well just put so this nipple seats up against this. And very rarely have I had trouble with these. I have had trouble with the bottle this end. One of my last bottles. I ran through so many oxygen bottles that you're bound to get a bad one. I had one leaking out of here. I'll put a picture in. And I've had them leak out of here because it wouldn't seal tight up against it. They were, and then you just put a couple wraps of Teflon tape on it to give the threads on my old mangled up nut something more to grab onto, because these valves get mangled too. That's part of the hydrostatus. They check all that stuff. That's a fantastic way to snap a valve off too, or a gauge off, is to hold the gauge. And I'm going to put a wrench on here, and I'm going to give it one last plumber tight. There we go. Now, moment of truth. So we're at 1400 on this gauge. We're now at 1400 on this gauge. My gauges correlate. I'm a happy camper. This is all-purpose leak detector I got from Home Depot. It kind of sucks, but what it does have is it's got a little foamy ball in it. I'm fairly sure that this is just soap without perfume. It smells like soap without perfume. You can use, I usually use Dawn dishwashing soap at a pretty high concentration in this squirt bottle. Problem with the squirt bottle is it squirts soapy water all over my workbench. Now I leak checked this fitting the other night too. I put leak check in here. You want to make sure you don't use anything with like lanolin in it or any kind of like, I've seen guys use palm olive, but you don't want to use any soap that has any kind of moisturizer in it. Moisturizer's oil. So I always use Dawn. So back to where I was. My tank's not full. And now that it has officially 1400 psi in it, I've got to burn some gas off, or I have to play like a rigmarole to get the system to run, again, because this machine doesn't like to top off bottles. So what I need to do is I need to start it back up. I need to start blowing glass. I need to get the system rolling and flowing. And then I can futz around with this thing to get gas to flow back in here. And I guess I could just show how I do that. Yeah, maybe I will. I already showed how I get this to work. Now I'm going to show how I get it to work again. Hopefully it'll work. So this valve's off, this valve's off. These valves are all off for the time being. My kiln is in the way. And I turn the oxygen condenser on. I crack the valve on my mini CC over here. My kiln's in the way, I gotta move. I'm gonna turn the compressor on. I'm gonna open both of these valves all the way. This valve is backed all the way off. This is my regulator valve. I have to back this valve all the way off because of the back pressure problem I discussed in the video before this one. So I need to flow gas from the oxygen condenser under the bench through this hose into this T through the gauge, okay? But it's not going through the gauge, it's going through this T fitting here out of the front of my torch. And it's flowing some kind of, it's flowing 3 liters, it's flowing 3 liters a minute out of the oxygen condenser through this T and out of my torch. And if you look under there, so the condenser is already green. The light on this is still yellow. So you have attention, O2 below normal, full, and filling. So now what I got to do is wait until this thing says filling. Everything's hooked up. This connection's attached. The whip hose is going to the T. The bottle is closed. This valve is closed. And this is going to take probably 15 minutes. So I'm going to shut the camera off because it's a waste of battery and time. It's every bit of 15 minutes. I lied. It isn't 15 minutes, but I should have left the damn camera running. So what it did just now was it went pumpy. It went boop, boop, boop. So it started to pump. This is the way this thing seems like it wants to operate. So, oh, there it goes. Now it says filling. Now it shut off again. So the next time it says filling, now I've got my hand on this valve over here, and we'll see if it, and I'm going to slowly close the bleed off valve. Now this is the bleed off valve that goes to this T that goes to the torches. So I'm going to slowly close that valve. It's still open about halfway. There it goes. Now I just shut this valve off all the way. That's going to the torches, the bleed off gas. Now, immediately this thing started to pump up. So I'm going to crack this valve a little bit here. And I'm listening to it. It's still filling. The valve, everything is still chugging along. Interestingly enough, if there's too much back pressure, it'll still say it's filling, but the reality of it is it's not filling. So we're up to full pressure here on this gauge. We're up to full pressure on this gauge. I'm going to open the valve the rest of the way. And we're now filling our oxygen bottles, and we can get back to work. Ta-da! So that's my startup procedure to top off a bottle. I am really curious. What I should do is go do yard work for a couple hours or clean up my pig pen of a garage and see how long it takes to fill this, to fill the rest of the way up. I really kind of want to start from a full tank, but I really hate yard work.